Climber. If you're a songwriter hoping to get cuts by other artists, does it help or hurt you to release your own music independently? We're going to talk about that today on The Climb. Johnny, do that thing that you do so well.
Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singer-songwriters and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Guys, leverage. Artists are owning their own masters. Artists are creating joint venture deals with the majors to distribute and help them market and do some other label-type service stuff, but they have the leverage. They own the traffic. And that's what you need to be thinking about too. That is the business model that works. That's where you need to be. And that's why we called it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a Baxtronym, you like what we did there, from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who is also a hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols. He's got number ones in Southern Gospel. He's got charts. He's charted on Australia. He's charted in Texas, which is its own planet. And he's making miracles happen, baby. So what I love about him, though, is that he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on a regular basis, which is just about every quarter, I think, there's an event where you get to be introduced to the pros so you can create relationships. That's what these publishers want. You want to get in that game. You got to get your game good, and then you need relationships. And you can find all of that whenever you want, as often as you want, at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Yeah, big words, but Johnny got the big brain. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
How you living, buddy?
Oh, hanging by a thread, as usual.
Happy Halloween.
Life is good. Life is good. Got songs out in the world, which is always fun, and just trying to make hay and just do
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween, happy spooky season.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you is last night we went to the freak show and Mackenzie's in town.
Yes.
So she played the freak show and she did Sugar Daddy Issues.
How'd it go?
And it went over great. And actually, right when I'm done with this
don't tell me.
What's that?
I'll say, yeah, if it sucked, don't tell me. Just
no, she did great. She did great. She did great. Everybody loved it. And in fact, TJ was like, "You're Sugar Daddy Issues." Oh, and so TJ was like filming it, which is
nice.
like right in the front of the stage with their phone. I thought, well, that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's respect from TJ right there.
Yeah.
And I was prideful of that moment. So I love her to death, but she's she's the real deal, and she doesn't throw it out to make people feel good. She only does it when she has the respect. So I love that. But
that's great.
I have to give a shout out to a couple climbers because they came into town and were like, there's some spots where we're going to do a video for Sugar Daddy Issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Which we've pushed the release back to January now, FYI.
Okay.
But so we're shooting the video the weekend of November 3rd, but there's a scene I want to be able to intercut with some live footage of her.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do some stuff with her live show. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to come out, right? Because I'm not going to be the one behind the camera or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give some instructions to the guy that's doing it. But I thought, we could also kind of tighten it up and do something a little bit more centric to the video. And so we're going to cut a scene at SIR later today. Okay.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be there 2 hours at the most, right? But with a live band, right? But they're not actually going to be playing, okay?
Right.
So it's really just about her vamping in front of the mic with a band behind her. But everybody in the band behind her is gonna have on old man masks,
Of
right?
course, yes.
We tried to go, Bill Clinton and, Joe Biden because, and Nick Cage, because those
Mhm.
names are, like, mentioned in the
Yeah.
lyric, and, they had Bill Clinton and Joe Biden masked at a really big show, a few weeks ago.
I
Mackenzie
saw
got a little
that on
drunk at
social
the show,
media.
and she gave the masks away.
That's great.
The people in the audience, so we didn't have them anymore, and
Yeah.
the Nick Cage mask, though, was just really kinda crappy. It was like just a paper face. It wasn't like a mask, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, so anyway, so we're gonna do old man mask because that works too, right?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
didn't obviously, she didn't come down here with her band. She's down here because her sister's getting married, and so they just came down to the family came down to spend some time with her sister. So I put out the bat
Bat
signal
signal.
there,
Yeah.
if you will, on the climb community, and I'm like,
Mm,
"Hey, if any climbers in town, tomorrow," right? This was last night at the freak show. "Any climbers in town
yeah,
tomorrow, like, and you're free, like, I need some guys to be in the band, you know,
yeah,
and to come by." So, we, I got, like, immediately 2 responses from Johnny Matt and from, Braden Joseph Barry, and they're all like, "Yeah, man, where's it at?" You know, SIR.
yeah.
So so it's great, man. We're gonna have climbers in
That's great.
but it'll be anonymously because they'll have the masks on.
Yeah.
And so think like Shania Twain or who her video was doing an homage
Addicted
to
to Love. Yeah.
yeah, to the Addicted to Love video with Paul, or I mean
Robert Palmer.
Robert Palmer. And it's like you don't even have to really look like you're playing, right? And it's like you don't even
Yeah.
have to like, play it. It just needs to look like that.
Yeah.
And so this is gonna be cool. So I just
That's fun.
kind of fun, man, that was able to just like, "Hey, I'm gonna phone a friend right now because I want some people there," and, like, I would normally do interns or something, but all of my interns are like, couldn't do it. So I was like,
Yeah.
Crap." So there we are. Anyway,
Fun time.
super fun. So, thank you to, Braden and to Johnny, and, look forward to hanging out with you guys later today, but I wanna give them a shout out for responding, and, you never know, man, you're in town. I know Johnny doesn't live here, I don't think, he must be visiting again,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you can come be in an artist video, think it'll be fun.
Fun time. And speaking of the climb community, y'all should join the climb community so you
Yeah.
see the bat signal when Johnny throws it up. And it is at facebook.com/groups/the climb community. It is where the fun stuff happens, is where we communicate with y'all, other than, if you're on the email when we send you an email about the new episodes dropping. But we have a good time in there. We have a spot for you to drop your gig alert, which, we always have people out there playing somewhere. Let each other know about that. Also, the wins, which is the new heights. And did you have anything else on that before I hop into some wins?
Nope, that's it, let's get into some wins, I love
All right, some wins. We love it. So we have the new heights post every Wednesday. You can post
it.
in there any day under that topic, but the new one comes in every Wednesday. And so we want you to know where the party is so you can join. So let's see. Boomer Rowe, who's also a songwriting pro member, says, "My first indie cut, Summer of Single Me by Kelly Daniels, was charting number 3 on Submit Hub with 85% approval rating, averaging over under 1,000 daily streams on Spotify with 1,750 monthly listeners." So nice. Congratulations, Boomer. I've talked to him, like I said, he's a songwriting pro member, and he's definitely excited about that, as you should be, Boomer. So
Okay,
congrats on that.
so let me put the cherry on top of Boomer
Mhm.
Row, because literally, as we were just talking right here, I get a DM from Boomer, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you got everybody that you need for that video
Mhm.
shoot tonight?"
Nice. See?
And I was like, "Actually, I do, thank you." So,
That's great.
anyway, that was awesome. So,
That's
cool.
that's great. Let's see here. Climber Blake Bard is one of the it says announcing the winners of the November-December 2023 lyric contest by American Songwriter magazine. So of course we're friends of American Songwriter. When they had their podcast network, we were on it. The Climb was on it. But anyway, they have that lyric contest every month, and Blake had a song that was in the honorable mention of that. It's called Colorado Let Me Know, which is an intriguing title. I think that title gets you winning before you're spinning, Blake, and they like the whole lyric. So it made the honorable mention. So good job on that. And everybody else who, we didn't have time to get to today, congrats. Keep on climbing.
Thank you. Yeah, keep on climbing, guys. Well done.
Yes.
So, songwriters releasing music independently. Talk to me. Talk to
Yes.
me.
So, I have people asking about this periodically about, hey, should I go ahead and put stuff out or how do I put stuff out, that sort of thing. And it is a question of going, okay, I'm a writer. Maybe I have some artist chops, but maybe it's not the deal. That's not my main thing is I want to be Taylor Swift or I want to be Eric Church or whatever. But they can do that, right? They can do some of their own demos. They can sing their own stuff. Like, should I put that out there independently and put it up on streaming, social media, try to do my own version, let that out into the world? Or do I kind of keep it protected, keep them as demos, only B2B, meaning business to business, me as a
Mhm.
songwriter business to publishers and artists as, record business? Does it help me or hurt me to put stuff out? And I have thoughts on it. So I thought, yeah, I know Johnny has thoughts on it too. So why don't we
Mhm.
share? I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you first off, um, I think it helps unless you're just totally screechy and terrible. Right? In which case you don't need to be doing your own demos at all, which is by the way why you never hear my voice on a demo or any sort of recording that's not the climb. You know, this is
Right.
assuming that you can that you can sell the song. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
This is assuming you can sell the song. So I don't do this myself because I ain't selling the song with my vocal. Okay. Maybe with my interpretive dance. Yes. But not with my vocal.
It's the interpretive dance that I love
Right.
the most from you.
And now this doesn't mean that you have to be Pavarotti up there or that you have to be Carrie Underwood. I think a lot of the people we're going to talk about aren't like world beater vocalists. They aren't Chris Stapleton. They aren't that kind of stuff. Maybe some
Yeah.
of them are, but some of them aren't. But they can sell the song. They can interpret the song. It's kind of the same thing when you go talk about demos. Like, hey, should you sing your own demo? It's like, well, can you sell it? Because that's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. Some people aren't great singers, but they can just put a thing in their song that sells it and gets the
Yeah.
emotion across. And you wouldn't put them on American Idol or The Voice, but they can sell their song and they might
Yep.
be the best voice for it. Other times, nope, get somebody else. So this is assuming that you can do a good recording that's not going to make you and your brand just throw stank on it as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Minimum kind of bar that you need to
Yeah,
reach.
I mean, there's something to be said too about like if you throw stank on it as a whole, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna put it up on Spotify, and nobody's gonna care. So
Yeah, I
it,
mean,
it's almost like anonymous. Like when you really screw up on a digital platform, it means nobody saw it. So,
yeah.
um, but you know what's weird though? I don't know if
Right.
this is the right part of it to interject this or not, but um, when I get songwriters who are like doing demos
Mhm,
and they know they can't sell it, so they want, like, the demo singer. You know, they
mhm.
they they pay extra money for a work for hire license so that they can release the song with the demo singer's
Yeah.
voice on it, which is gonna be
Mhm.
awesome. I mean, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on about that, but just from a strictly, like, marketing perspective, I don't think it makes any sense. Like first of all, it means that there is no marketing, right? Because they're going to spend money to try to put this. I just want to put it on Spotify to see what happens, and nothing's going to happen, because
Yeah, yeah, okay, so that's a good caveat, I hadn't considered that, but I actually had a coaching client ask me about that because he doesn't sing his own demos, but he was like, "Hey, I got this extra lane of kinda what I do," and, talking to some of the demo singers about putting it out as under this kind of a brand name, not a artist name, but like a collective or this was like CCM stuff, so under blank and blank worship, and so
yeah,
you have these different voices, and just to
but there's
kind of
something to
see.
market, is what you're saying. There is a brand
So there
that
would
is
be a
okay.
brand, but it's not a voice, it's a collection of voices. So I'm like, at least
Yeah,
there's some kind of umbrella, like this is the thing, because that's quite common. And like you got Elevation Worship, Maverick Music, these CCM, worship collectives that may have different
mhm.
leads and stuff.
Or how
So
about here's a huge pop group, the Gorillas. They're cartoon characters,
no one knows what they look like, kind of thing, right?
that are just made. So it's It gives you, but so I like that. Like the point is that
Mhm.
there's a marketing plan
There's at
to
least a
to put it
something
out
to hang
there
that on.
and to do that, because otherwise I just think that, it's just play all your friends the demo. They're the ones that are gonna listen to it on
Yeah.
Spotify.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
like, yeah, if I were to do that, I'd obviously have the demo singers on the stuff, and I'm like, "Okay, well, then I would need to," if it's a traditional demo, you're gonna need to up the rate that you pay go back, pay everybody for the master or at least a limited pressing, so you right by the unions, and you pay people more for the usage of it. That's a normal
Yeah.
thing. That's something I told this guy's like, "Okay, if you're gonna bump it from a demo to a master, it's gonna cost you some money." And the same thing for the singer, because people just charge more for, like, okay, if you're directly monetizing this, putting it out in the world, it's a master, then pay me more. If it's a demo, you pay me
Yeah,
less
there's like
generally.
three levels of pay for, uh, the musicians,
Mhm,
and the singer that
mhm.
are gonna make your master recording, right?
Yeah.
The first one is
Mhm,
the demo level, and the idea behind, let's just like define that really quick. The idea
yeah.
behind that is that the recording they're going to make is a B2B recording, business to business. So
Mhm,
that recording itself, that the talent that they put on that recording is not being sold to make money. It's being used to demonstrate the lyric, the melody, and the vibe of the song,
mhm.
so that somebody else will cut it, and then that's
Right.
going to be a master recording that's going to be sold for money. So that's why it's a lower price, right? Because there's
Yeah.
a boatload of demos being done every single day in this town.
It's not directly
And
being monetized.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so then when you throw the cog in the wrench where you're like, "Wow, I just really love how this demo's turned out. Can I release it?" Well, you can, but now you have to go back and, now that's called the limited pressing, right? Which I
Mhm,
believe is up to, in the days of hard physical product, it was 2000, up to 2,000 albums.
mhm.
You have to pay them a higher rate because now that's become a master recording that you're going to
Yeah.
try to exploit. And so that has to happen. And
And this
then,
might be stuff
uh,
that you sell at shows, that kinda stuff, and
yeah, exactly. And then above 2,000 copies, it would be then official a master track. That's the top level. That's a
Mhm.
you know, they get paid more for that. So you just have to understand that they need to be compensated,
Yes, we wanna be
appropriately.
fair to our musician friends, because Lord knows in the days of band in a box and everything else, our musician studio friends are hurting, so
Yeah.
take care of your musicians, okay, and they'll
Yeah,
take care of
that's
you,
right.
so
Just like you do your bartenders and waitresses. Yeah.
exactly, tip them, but don't tip them over, so that's one thing, you may need to go back and backfill some of that, but, like, okay, if I were gonna do that for myself, like, go like, "Oh, I love how some of these demos turned out, I wanna put them up on Spotify and streaming or whatever and just blast them out there." My question would be like, "Well, what's the point of that?" You know, if I'm not gonna really put it out there and work it, and now I'm trying to get those songs to get spins, and then if I do I want them to, and that's the question, like, if I get enough spins, is that just gonna run somebody off? If go, "Oh, well, that's already out there, I don't wanna compete with that," or is it gonna help it get discovered, right? And that's really what it comes down to. Is it gonna kill the option of somebody else recording it, or is it gonna help somebody find it, right?
Yeah.
Bottom line, I think it's gonna help somebody find it, because I have several examples here of people who put out their own records first, and then it went on to get a major cut and become a number one.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one right now. I'll bet it's probably on your list without having looked at it.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, and we'll get to Travis Meadows. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
exactly, I know you, Johnny. We've hung out. So anyway, what got me thinking about this, other than the fact that yes, it comes up in coaching sessions, it comes up in the climb community, it comes up in these various places. Is I've been going through some of my to name them again, American Songwriter magazine back issues, just going through and like I'm gonna reread these interviews with a highlighter to bring back nuggets for my songwritingpro.com community or my coaching clients, because I send them several times a week. I'll send them little videos of going, here's a nugget for you, just a little coaching
Mhm.
technique. Um,
Nice.
yeah, always be serving. But anyway, so this is an interview with Ashley McBride, and this part which grabbed me for this was, let's see. So basically, talk about her current record, which is I think called "The Devil I Know," and so it's Ashley's current record, 2023 record. If you listen to this in the future, um, it says basically writing her own songs and being more open and stuff. In this approach, McBride was highly influenced by singer-songwriter Travis Meadows and his sometimes harrowing accounts of being a recovering addict, especially his 2011 album Killin' Uncle Buzzy.
Killing
After
Uncle Buzzy.
hearing yeah, after hearing his work for the first time, she remembers thinking, "This is a songwriter." On The Devil I Know, Meadows co-wrote the track Made for This with her. So, okay, well, there's a case in point. So Meadows put out this record in 2011. All right, so that's when Killin' Uncle Buzzy was out. I don't know if that was his first record. He's put out a handful of records. Um, she heard that record. And now this is at this point, what, 12 years ago? So she was
Yep,
not Ashley McBride at that point when that record came out. But at some
yep,
point, she discovered that record. It was like, holy crap, this is a songwriter,
yeah,
right? And it influenced her songwriting. And guess what? Eventually, Travis ends up on the bus,
yeah.
metaphorically or literally, but he ends up in the writing room with her, and they write the lead off track for that album called Made for This, which is awesome. It's about an artist's life. It's really cool, as her stuff tends to be.
Oh,
It's
I
great.
love it.
So not only was she like, "This is a songwriter, I need to let that inform how I write, my honesty, my all this stuff," right? Which is
Mhm.
great. She's like, "And I wanna write with that guy."
Yeah,
So boom. Okay, so if he hadn't put that record out, and I looked up Killing Uncle Buzzy on Spotify just right before this, and um, some the biggest track on there called "It Gets Better" has on Spotify over 500,000 listens, right? 500,000 streams,
yeah,
but a lot of them are sitting under 100,000.
yeah,
So haven't even hit the "Hey Johnny, can you help me out with this" level
yeah.
of streams, right?
That's
Haven't
exactly
even hit
right.
that. Now there's some that are, in the six figures, but the highest one is still, it's like 600K.
So it's a very small indie released
Yeah,
record that
yeah,
was if you guys by the way, if you haven't heard this record and you wanna go to
and you probably haven't
songwriting
considering the
school,
numbers on it.
holy crap. I mean, yeah, Killing Uncle Buzzy is the record, and this
Uh-huh,
whole album I listened to this album, and it floored me when I heard it, like, it
mhm,
floored me. It's, like, so many moments on there, but it is a he's had a hell of a life, that dude, right?
yeah,
Like, he lost both his parents, I think, when he was 13 or 14. He lost a foot to
to
cancer.
cancer.
So he ju and there was a moment in his life when he's feeling really sorry for himself, okay? And
Mhm,
he started drinking and drinking, and then he turns into, like, a raging alcoholic, and he
mhm,
will tell you, he talks about this live in his
yeah,
performances that, uh literally for I think it was for 7 years, he never had a hangover. Like, let that sink in.
and it ain't
You
'cause he
only get
keeps
a
doing it.
hangover
Right.
when you start to sober up.
Yeah,
So, he just was hammered for 7
mhm,
years straight, and then, he had to turn his life around, and so that whole record, Killing Uncle Buzzy, is about all of that, getting through that, and,
yeah,
um, oh my god, like, so that became like this cult thing
mhm,
on Music Row, and the record was on all the buses,
'cause
right?
it's
Like,
cool,
because
it's
it was
different,
good fricking music,
it's
yeah.
good, it's not competition, I guess. It's not like,
I
you
think
know,
they
I
just
think it's just
loved the
good.
craft of it. It was
It's
just
so good.
so good, and you know what? Travis Meadows never gonna win American Idol for his
No,
voice.
no.
But those lyrics are just so I think it's the because it was so good. It's just the way it was just a big fat reminder of here's how y'all should be writing.
Yeah, well, that's what it was for Ashley, right? It was a wake up like,
Yep.
"Okay, that's it. That is a
That's how to this
songwriter."
is how to be honest. This is
Yeah,
how to be honest and get to because we get too often we get, like, caught up in the Music Row thing, who's
it needs to be
cutting, what's the
glossy, it
brand, how's
needs to
the
be ready for
hustle,
radio, it needs to be all
eh,
these things, and he
instead
was
of
just
just coming
like,
from the heart. Yeah.
"Here it
Yeah.
is," which, ironically enough, or not ironically, translated, got him in those rooms.
Yep.
Another so got him, in the room with Ashley, and now he has a cut on her record. And also, there's another song on Killin' Uncle Buzzy. from 2011 called, What We Ain't
We
Got.
all want yeah, what we ain't
We
got.
all want what we ain't got.
Mhm.
Which in 2013, so 2 years after the record, was released and went to, I believe, number 1 for Jake
Yep,
Owen.
yep.
I wonder where Jake heard that.
On the bus.
Probably on the bus. I don't know that for sure, it might have been pitched, but thing is, he probably heard on the bus
No,
because
it was on the bus, I know the story, it was on the
okay.
like, this is so this is, like, with the touring artists, right? Like, I know this from being a former touring artist, there are things that, like, are just that go around as a small community, right?
Yeah.
Like, comedy stuff, who are those guys that used to do the prank phone calls? I'm trying to remember what the hell they were
The
called,
Jerky
but, like
Boys?
the Jerky Boy, like, it would be the road crew that would always have, like, the latest Jerky Boys thing, and it was, like, underground stuff, and they would bring it to you, and it was
Yeah.
so, when it's good, when it's really, really good, like, they're all over it. The crew will be all over it. The artists and the
Mm,
musicians will be all over it, and that's what that record was,
mhm.
and, in fact, I know that, there's something else to this story. I don't know if I'm not hope I'm not stepping on your story, but,
No, no, it's good, go.
Jake, like, loved that song and really
Mhm.
wanted to record it, and he called, Travis and asked him for permission to record it, and at this point, Travis isn't, like, in all the rooms just yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's starting to heat up, but it wasn't he's not where he is now, and as a writer with that kind of
Mm.
respect yet, or let's say, recognition yet,
Yeah.
and so he's like, "Well, yeah, of course." And then Jake talks about recording that song. If you listen to "We All Got We All Want What We Ain't Got" on Killin' Uncle Buzzy, and you listen to Jake's version of it, Jake Owen's version, Jake Owen was scared to death to screw that song up. And
Yeah.
so it'd be because it's very sparse. It's like a
Mhm.
piano essentially and, very little else, and he's like, "We can't we're if we try to go all Music Row on this thing
Yeah.
and overproduce it, we're gonna F it up." So he
Yeah.
just was very scared of, like, basically, it's almost like a re-recording of
Mhm.
what he did, which is just the coolest possible, from a
Compliment.
production standpoint, from
Yeah.
a writing standpoint, from a yeah, the utmost respect you could have, like, I just can't it would be like trying to do, like, a big highfalutin version of the House That Built Me, like, you're gonna
Yeah.
just wreck it, like, it's just the
Yeah.
melody and that song, I mean, I'm kinda getting a little worked up talking about because that's the song we played at my mom's funeral.
Mm. So, that's that's the
That's a
deal.
good song.
It's a really good song,
Oof,
and thank God he put that into the world, right? If he hadn't put that in the
yeah,
world, how many people would not have heard that song? If he had just been set on it, as a demo on Music Row and said, "I'm gonna wait for some publisher to come along and get it on Jake Owen's bus," it's a different context. It's a different thing.
yeah,
It goes through a different door, and it's a different thing, and man, God bless him for that, I mean, how much is that not only for one thing, here's the big thing, right? If you're watching especially if you're watching the video of this, it touched lives,
yeah.
and so that's the thing, right? That
I
I mean,
can't
that
listen to it anymore. I
right.
can't listen to shit.
Yeah.
And one more thing about Travis, by the way. So, Ava Page, we've talked about her so many times.
Mhm.
She's going to be on the sh- on the well, she was at this point when this drops. She will have been on the writers takeover. Um, I started working with her when she was like 12,
Yeah.
and she just was this such a real honest soul, that was just
Mhm.
a real freaking writer. I turned her on to Travis Meadows. I
Yeah.
sent her Killing Uncle Buzzy. I'm like, listen to this. I think this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
And a few hours later, she texts me back. She's like, "Oh my god!" Like
Yeah.
like it was like I showed her the light. You know what I mean? And she
Yeah.
was like, so she started doing covers of his songs and putting them on social media.
Mhm.
He would always respond to it.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
then and it was just this wonderful full circle moment where her mom texted me and she's like, "Hey," and she sends me a link because Travis Meadows was performing at Third and Lindsley. And she's like, "We got you a ticket. We'd like you to join us." And I was like, "Yeah."
Heck
So,
yeah.
he's such a sweetheart. He's the nicest man on the
Mhm.
face of the planet. So just shout out to Travis Meadows, like he's the dude. So
Yeah, love it. But that's the thing. I mean, so you had a record to send, right? Sometimes people will pass along a demo here or there if they hear something really cool, like right. But
yep,
if you go, dude, check out this record, like it's a
yeah,
body of work. It really sets the brand of that writer.
hmm yeah,
It's just another layer of like, hey, people, thankfully, I think Brent Baxter songs get played on Music Row on the daily, like in offices and different things, right? Just the years I've been doing this, the number of
at the
songs
freak
and
show
stuff
like
getting
last
pitched,
night.
right?
Yeah,
But it's never my voice. So people may hear my songs a lot more than they realize because it's just
hmm
not me singing. Now, it would be more helpful for my personal brand if it's my voice, but then you crank that up even another notch where it's a record that people can share, and it's all your voice, and it's your
yeah,
artistry, and it's bound together by the production and all this stuff, right? The thing that makes you you. I'm a little more chameleon. I kinda disappear into songs, hopefully, to
hmm
help whatever that vision for that thing is, but if it's like your record and your brand and your thing, that helps go, "Oh, Travis Meadows, this thing."
hmm
That raw honesty or whatever,
yeah,
whoever it is, it helps set that, and it's something that's more shareable. You don't have to
yeah,
worry about the discoverability, okay? Because just because it's out there doesn't mean people know it's there. Distribution is not marketing, as we say, but it's shareable, so Johnny can go, "Ava, listen to this." It's probably a link, right? It's probably
yeah,
not a Dropbox. It's probably a
yeah.
link to the record. You can
There's a
go
link to the
send
record
it.
on Spotify. Yeah,
Exactly. Makes it easier to share and also easier to share on the bus. It just has a lot more,
it's tangible now, even
boom.
though
It
it's ones and
yeah,
zeros. It's tangible. And you know what? Something
it's
else
shareable.
about Travis Meadows, like on an artistic level,
Mhm.
um, i i so decidedly that record is I mean, that is not a record that would ever be played on country radio. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe what we all got, but like we all want what we ain't got, but not until Jake Owen,
Right,
did it
yeah.
become that number one hit. But so he's out crowd from Music Row, like really
Mhm.
like he doesn't write like Music Row. And that became, I know, very important to Eric Church,
Yeah, I was
who
just thinking of that, yeah.
okay, I don't wanna step on that, but
Oh,
yeah,
well,
go
just
ahead.
that thought, Meadows went on the bus with Eric Church, who's, mega country star,
Uh-huh.
hit artist, and it basically told him, and I don't have the exact wording because I wasn't on the bus, but basically like, you know, Trevor's like, "I don't do it like everybody does it on Music Row," and Eric's like, "Yeah, that's exactly why you're here,
That's
because you do it
exactly why you're
differently.
on the bus. Yeah,
That's why you're
I'm
here."
depending on that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a bug, that's a feature. You
Yes.
don't do it like
Exact so
everyone else.
that's yeah, that's the message I wanted to get out to the climbers. Was like, this is not
Mhm.
what's on the radio, and but it's friggin' good. You know what
Well,
I mean?
yeah,
It's so good.
okay, another case, Lori McKenna. She was up
Uh-huh.
in Boston doing the folky thing, mom, wife,
6, right?
whatever. How many kids? Is it
Did
talking
you
about
get 6 kids?
she might,
Maybe
I
it's
don't
3
know.
kids. Uh,
But she
maybe I'm
multiple,
thinking of
more than
you.
one.
No. Hold on.
But, um But at that point, who knows how many, but she was and she's doing the folk and putting out records, but it wasn't like record on Universal or record on Warner Brothers. It was, I'm sure much more independent. And somehow it gets to freaking Faith Hill, who cuts like a bunch of them for this Fireflies record.
Yep.
And it makes a big, like, who is this? Who is this? Folky,
Yep.
unsigned, whatever, singer songwriter. And then next thing you know, she got on Oprah, and it
Yep.
launches her into, and she backs it up. I mean, it wasn't just like this freak, and she's an excellent writer, right?
Yeah.
So, and
5
she
kids, by
backs
the way.
it up, and
5.
she makes relationships, and now she's, and she's been killing it for a while now. She's very well respected as a writer. So, the thing, okay, both those, what do they have in common? Quality.
Mhm.
They are really freaking good at what they do. Laura McKenna, Travis Meadows, different flavors, right?
Yep.
Really, really, really freaking good at what they do. Um,
Yep.
and so that is a thing that came from the independent world that got her on the map. If she had just been playing, the
Coffee
folk
houses.
circuit, coffee houses and stuff,
Yep.
same songs, but didn't have a record to pass around.
Yeah.
Would we know who she is? And we'd all be worse off for it. The world would be less humble and kind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we wouldn't have Humble and Kind, that's just what I was gonna say, like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. So let's see here. There's another interview in this American Songwriter magazine with Eric Dillon, who is a singer songwriter out of Nashville, and so I thought this part was interesting. So um, he says in 2016, I recorded an album titled "Heart of a Flatland Boy." I call it my "Stay Sane in Nashville" project. Sometimes I think it was out of pure frustration. I had absolutely nothing going on as a songwriter. The cuts were few and far between, and I was watching the last bit of gravel fall off the edge of my first publishing contract. So I decided to spend $20,000 that I didn't have to make a record. I will admit it was not my brightest idea. Luckily, luckily, the songs on "Heart of a Flatland Boy" were heard by several great rookie artists who had just moved to Nashville or were on their way to Guitar Town. I met up and comers like Luke Combs, Riley Green, Elvie Shane, Ray Fulcher, and so many other great young artists by releasing that album. They liked the songs I released, and I began co-writing with them. Years later, the recording contracts arrived, and my friends kept me along for the ride in the writing rooms. My first country number one was a song I co wrote with Riley Green titled There Was This Girl. I co wrote Fulcher's first radio single, Girl in It. My most recent single as a songwriter at FM radio is titled Drinking Problems with Dylan Carmichael. This song was written alongside Combs, Fulcher, and Thomas Archer early in Luke's career. In addition, several of the songs from Heart of a Flatland Boy have been recorded and released by other artists. I never saw it coming and would never have witnessed these opportunities without Heart of a Flatland Boy. I am certain of that.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, anything else?
Puts it
Anything else
out
you need
there.
to say? So he did good work. He put it out there when he was frustrated. And one of my coaching clients was kind of like, I've got all these songs sitting around, not being heard. Maybe I should put them out. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should. Right. So that
Mhm.
helped brand him, get his marquee value up. It had something that people could share around and it started getting
Yep.
heard by people and they dug it and it created opportunity for him. And
Yeah.
so that sounded like it was like hand to hand combat, not like streaming. Somebody heard it on the, on
Yep.
discovered on Spotify or whatever, but it was out there. And so Eric started getting these relationships, which years later have turned into number ones and major artist co-writes and that sort of thing too, which I think is super cool. Um, Other examples, Kim Ritchie, she put out an album on Mercury Records, so not independent. I mean, it was a major label release, and I remember
Mhm.
seeing the video of her. I think of her single. Oh, those words we said on like CMT back in college. And I went and picked up that record. I thought it was just really cool, like singer songwriter country, but folky, almost like Indigo Girls country thing.
Mhm.
Super cool. Tore that record up. Now, Kim never had a hit as an artist. I don't know if she ever even charted, but there were like six number ones on that record. I crap you not.
Really?
But for other female artists.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Patty Loveless and Mindy McCready and who knows who else. Like there were six number ones off that record, but none of them were Kim's version off of her record. But it
That's
got
crazy.
around, right? Obviously, it did not stop people from, and this was on Mercury Nashville, right? So it was a
What
label
was that
in
artist's
town.
name? What, Kim Ritchie?
Kim Ritchie, Richey. She's awesome. She wrote for Blue Water Music, which I ended up working for when I first moved to town, and which was fun because I'm like, hey, you got any more of them Kim Ritchie demos I can listen to? Which was fun. But she wasn't still writing there by the time I got there. She'd left. But a lot of those songs, they pitched around or people heard them on her record, was like, I didn't do anything. I can make that. Let's cut that. And
What was the record?
I think it was her self-titled. I think it was just called Kim Ritchie. Um,
Okay. I gotta listen to it.
oh, it's so good. She's so good. She's so good. Um, So yeah, it was just her self-titled one, is the one I'm thinking of, and that was from 1995 Mercury Records, which is a division of Universal. So you had, I don't remember who all cut what versions of it, but I know there were several female artists, country artists that made number ones off that record. Look, there are 13 songs on the record, and I think like six of them ended up going number one for somebody else. Say, "Okay."
Wow.
Yeah, a vulgar display of prowess as I
Mm.
drink my coffee.
Mhm.
So and she had a publishing deal, Blue Water's a good boutique publishing company. A lot of cool stuff like Jim Lauderdale and Kim Ritchie and stuff, really cool writers. And, that I think helped raise a profile of her and those songs
What
to
were the
get
number ones? Can you tell me what they are? I'm looking at it right now, like, which
Man, I
one?
would have to look up. It's been so long. Obviously, it's been, about almost 30 years or something since that record
Yeah.
came out. Let's see. I wanna say "You'll Never Know" was a Mindy McCready number 1. I
Yep.
think, let's see, "Let the Sun Fall Down" ended up in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Kim's version, which she wrote with my buddy Neil Cody. God bless you, Neil Cody.
Mm.
Let's see, "From Where I Stand," I bet someone cut that one. Um, that's a lie. I think it might have been, like, Patty Loveless or something. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, but I remember, like, because I was a fan of that record, as those singles started coming out and people getting cut in 'em, I was like, "Hey, there's that song. Hey, there's that song," so I can't
That's
remember all of them now,
crazy.
because I know Kim's version of them mostly, because that's the version that
Dude, okay, so I'm looking at the record right now on Spotify, right? The
Mhm,
biggest song on Kim's version here with the most streams,
mhm.
those words we said, 216,000 streams.
There we go. Yeah.
And, let's see, Here I Go Again, 24,000. You'll Never Know, 35,000. That's exactly what I mean, 20,000. The Sun Fell Down, 150,000.
Mhm,
Just Like the Moon, 22,000. From Where I Stand, 14,000. Sweet Mysteries, 11,000. I mean, like, oh, wow, that's crazy. That's a Lie, 15,000. Like, wow,
mhm.
nuts, nuts. So
Yeah,
good.
crazy, huh? But, then you go, "Oh, well, here's Mindy McCready's version of 'You'll Never Know' with a million."
Yeah,
You know? Oh,
yeah.
okay. There we
Oh,
go. So, yeah, that's, it didn't hurt Kim to put out her own record. It didn't stop other people from recording it and putting it out and make it a number 1. So, Radney Foster,
yeah.
from Foster& and Lloyd, he had his own successful artist career. He's also a mutual friend of our buddy Eric Erdman. Um,
Mhm,
but Radney's just highly respected and stuff, has done the artist thing, but, he put out his own records on he had a record on Arista Records, which contained "Raining on Sunday," which
mhm,
became a number 1 for Keith Urban, and "Godspeed Sweet Dreams," which was on a huge Dixie Chicks record, I think
mhm,
the home record. So, okay, so he put it out, and then other people would cover it. It didn't stop him. It was on his record first. They heard it, and it was like, "This is freaking cool. Let's put this out." Another example is "God Gave Me You." The original artist was Dave Barnes, and it
did
was
not
being
know that.
played. Yeah, it was being and they heard it on the bus on satellite radio,
Wow.
and Blake heard it, was like, "Man, that's like me and Miranda or whatever, and let's go." And they cut it, and Dave, he does a lot of, I don't know if he was getting played on CCM satellite radio. Dave does CCM stuff, but he also does, he's an independent artist. He does
Mhm,
stuff that's more poppy, and so I'm not sure what they were listening to on the bus, but he had it out there as his own song on
mhm.
satellite, and they heard it on the bus, and Blake was like, "Dude, that's me," and he cut it. It was a number 1 country hit.
Sick. Such a good
So,
song.
it's a good song.
Yeah,
That's the stuff that this stuff is awesome. All these writers are really freaking good,
yep,
so but you know what? If they weren't great, then it would go out and then no one would know.
yeah,
Then you just probably wasted time and money. But if it's great, it's so I'm not worried about it. I think, yeah, if you want to do that artist thing, have it be part of what you're doing. I don't think it's going to stop people from covering your song and putting it out there, and because they know to vast majority of the world, their version is going to be the version.
yeah, and I mean, keep that those Kim Ritchie numbers in your head, you know what I mean? That record came out in 1995,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay? And, I mean, most people I would look at that and be like, "Well, this blows," like, now, yeah, the numbers aren't good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it found a life a different way than that record, you know? So don't be discouraged by
Mhm.
low streaming numbers if your stuff is really good, if it's
Yeah,
really good.
exactly. I mean,
Yep.
and with Kim, she's an artist. Travis is definitely an artist. That if that's part of what you do and that helps feed you, even if it doesn't monetarily feed you, but it feeds your
Mhm.
artistic heart. I want to put stuff in the world. Don't be scared of putting your stuff out there. I think again, worst case scenarios, no one hears it, and so no one knows and no one cares.
Yep.
Um, but what if they do hear it and it's awesome and they go, "Who is that? I want to," and it's shareable. So they go, "Here's the Spotify link, or here's the YouTube link, or here's the whatever," and it gives you. It's so shareable. It has a lot more potential for velocity. It used to be, I remember moving to town and I got to Nashville and I had some friends that knew like my friend Laura McLeod, who worked at Blue Water when I was working there. And then she went over, I think she worked at Famous Music where Tony Lane was at the time. I'm like, "Get me
Mhm.
Tony Lane demos." And she's like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah.
And so I have a CD actually over there in my office of like some Tony Lane demos. And it was harder for the rest and poor the I felt bad for the rest of the world because they didn't have access to that. Now, Tony, I think, has some stuff on streaming now with him as an artist, but it just
Okay.
wasn't accessible. And so
Yeah.
I felt so like, oh, and my buddies and I would, share that stuff around because it was
Yep.
so freaking good,
'Cause
right?
it's good, man.
Most of the
Yeah.
world didn't have access to Tony Lane doing Tony Lane songs. Uh, Poor guys,
Yeah.
but I felt like in the catbird seat that I got to hear some of that really cool stuff before the rest of the world did on a John Michael Montgomery record, on a Montgomery Gentry record, on a Tim McGraw record, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so don't be afraid to put that stuff out. I think it's a net plus. I mean, because what's the downside? I mean, I did hear a story one time of, hey, somebody didn't want this artist version of it out because maybe they were more of a major indie kind of thing. Hey, they want to
Mhm.
cut it, but they don't want both versions out there, and they're like, "We pulled ours,"
Yeah.
for streaming, so this major artist could cut it. Okay, well, good. They
Yeah.
had the conversation. I mean, I don't whatever, however you feel about that, that's what the story was, and I'd pull my version too to go get a chance at a number 1,
Mhm.
which just raises their value and their marquee value
Go make a
across
name
the
for
board.
yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
So, those are my thoughts on that, is
Great
don't
stories,
be
man. Those
scared.
that's good stuff. I like that. I like that a lot. Like, um, yeah, it's fascinating to see the difference with that. I have to remember to when we drop this, uh, I'll put the link to Kim Ritchie's Spotify thing and Killing Uncle Buzzy in the climb community so
Yeah,
that they can
you
hear that
see
because
for
that I
yourself.
mean, you guys, you gotta listen to those records, man. They're so good.
So
Like,
good, so good.
yeah,
And that's what you wanna be. You wanna be that record that people go, "You gotta listen to this. This is awesome."
yeah,
The, Goodbye Earl, Dixie Chicks' number 1, massive song for them. I heard that that wasn't pitched. That was just like, "Dude, you gotta hear this."
yeah,
And they're like, "Not only do we hear it, we're gonna cut the son of a gun." They're like,
yeah.
"Oh." You know?
'Cause it was like a tongue in cheek kind of a thing,
Oh, yeah, and
and
just got passed around because and it's very well done, right?
yeah.
It's crafted. I mean, the guy that wrote it, Dennis Lindy, master craftsman, multiple hits. I mean, Ashley McBryde named a whole album Lindyville based on his work and just the influence he had
Oh,
on
really?
the
I didn't know
songwriting.
that.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, he wrote songs like, Queen of My Double Wide Trailer, I think, and all these, like, quirky things.
S But Super Trailer Park
Yeah,
vibe,
but
yeah,
the
which is
so the
what
story
Lindyville is.
is that all these characters in Lindy's mind all lived in the same town. They knew each other. They would pop up in each other's songs. So,
Oh.
there's an Earl in Queen of My Double Wide Trailer, and maybe that's the same Earl that got Goodbye in Goodbye Earl. So, I mean, I
Oh.
heard that he even had, like, had a map in his here's the town, and all these people in his mind were citizens of this little town that he wrote these amazing songs around. And so that's what so the Welcome to Lindyville record by Ashley McBryde, to bring this all full circle, is intentionally done where like you get these recurring characters to these songs on this concept record. And,
Yeah,
and the song each song stands on its own, but if you listen to it, you're like, this is all taking place in Lindyville.
yeah, yeah,
So
yep,
anyway, that the
and
Goodbye
that's
Earl
another
just
amazing record, by the way, yeah,
yeah, yeah, and so Goodbye Earl was just pitched as a, "You gotta hear this. This is bonkers."
yeah.
and then you got getting a number one out of it. So that's the thing. Bottom line, it's not enough to just put your song out there. It's got to be
Yeah.
really freaking good, and that's what you want. If it's not good enough that people are sharing it, going, "Oh, you just got to hear this," it's not good enough yet.
Yeah.
So there's a carrot and the stick. That's
I
what I
mean,
got.
yeah. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Happy Halloween, because
Boo.
it's Halloween. Boo. And listen, make sure you share it. Join the Climb community. Share with a friend. And this podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.